Abraham Lincoln Park, that was completely new to me,
Mhm.
completely. And I was wondering, why have I never heard of this park before? Well, it had a name change. It used to be called Irondequoit Bay Park East. And it's a very commercial looking area. And when you drive by it, you can miss it because all you see is a playground, a parking lot. Um, it looks like a play area, a
It's
small
definitely
one.
Hill's best hidden secret.
It's
I
the
grew,
best, like a hidden gem. I think it's like
yeah,
it's 182 acres. We had no idea. So
yeah.
I know Courtney knew about this. So from my perspective, walking in, my eyes were just popping out of my head because here was this amazing trail, and it's not an easy hike. It's
Mm-mm.
probably more of a moderate hike, a lot of ups and downs. And you can see the time of the year. This is November. So the ground is just lush. You could actually, I made a video of just the sound of our feet walking through the leaves, that crunch with all those dried leaves. But it's a walk and it goes all the way down to Irondequoit Bay. So
Mhm.
that's a view I've really only seen maybe from 104 driving over really fast. And because I don't know Penfield and Webster, it was completely new to me. And I guess the biggest thing I can say is, wow, what a surprise, what a hidden gem.
I think what's cool about Abraham Lincoln Park is it has a variety of different terrains. You know what I mean? It's like as you get deeper and deeper, everything about it keeps changing and changing and changing, and it's incredibly exciting because of that. And again, like you said, Nance, that is not an easy hike.
No,
No,
but
it's
it's a
not.
great hike and it's fulfilling. You keep going through tight areas of woods and open areas. There's this one
Yeah.
beautiful image that you'll see of Zan walking through this huge ravine. So you have this sense of being enclosed.
Yeah.
You're either on top of the hill. I know Judy's done some hilltop paintings.
Yeah.
And then you have this feeling of enclosure, the opposite of Braddock's Bay, because you feel like you're almost being enveloped by the terrain.
I taught in Webster for 30 years and I never knew about this park. There's parks on the other side of Empire Road that I've been on, but I hadn't been here and I wasn't expecting much because I thought it was a playground with a few acres behind it. So I was really, really happy to come upon this. And it was, it reminded me of being a kid and going in the woods and exploring because you just didn't know what was around the bend. It was remarkable. And it was all descending down to the bay, and then of course walking back was uphill. And then we drove down this road adjacent to the path and came upon the bay, and there was a beautiful lodge, very modern lodge that you can rent. And we went inside and looked at it, and we thought it would be a great place for an art opening of all our work.
It'll be the next version of the show. Yeah.
Yeah, but overlooks the bay. It's all glass. It's quite wonderful.
You end up at a point, you start the hike way, way, way up high, and I don't know how many hundreds of feet you literally walk down.
Yeah.
But the drop is severe in places, and you have to actually watch your step in places where it's slippery. But you end up with your toes right next to the water. You literally stand with the water lapping at the gravel, at natural gravel at the edge of the bay. And so few of us ever get to the edge of Irondequoit Bay unless you have a boat or something, and like Nancy said, you see it from 104, but you don't see this view of it. I just love the fact that I was down at water level seeing where I lived. This is a big part of Monroe County here, and seeing it from that view rather than being on a highway or up on top of the hills where the buildings are. So it was really cool for me. The park was opened in 2009, and I thought that was interesting because I also had worked in Webster schools before going into Rochester City schools, and I never knew about this park either. And it's very deceiving
Yeah.
from the road and opens up into this gorgeous ravines and gullies and hills, and it's a real treasure.
I found out that really every park we've been to, every place in New York State, especially Western New York State, up through Canada, and maybe down through Pennsylvania, has really the same plants. They don't really differ much from park to park. But I did a lot of work on groundwork with leaves. I made a lot of leaf impressions. I made molds of leaves. And I was on a leaf jag for a while. I also have a lot of pieces. I probably have 30 pieces that are not in the show also that are ceramic leaf inspired, although some of the small ones that are called landmarks, which is a play on the word, are also inspired by the leaves. So again, I'm just sort of zooming in. I'm in the forest, but I'm zooming into the smaller details, which is what I love to do. So this work is 9 of them put together. And specifically, I made molds of the ground. I took clay, brought slabs to different areas and stepped on the clay to make an impression. And then pull out the materials, rocks and pine needles, branches, and then fire the molds. Then I would use those for other slabs of clay to make impressions. So they became very abstract, and they were bisque-fired clay. But then the color and the surface is encaustic, which is a fairly new technique for me, and I just love the wax surface. It gives it, I think, another luminosity. I love glazes. They're not entirely controllable. Renowned for that. But with the encaustic, I felt like I could really work almost like in a color field way with the images.
Knowing that these are encaustic, it's interesting because it doesn't appear, to me at least, like these aren't glazed necessarily. I mean, I don't really think about the fact that it'd be difficult to achieve some of these effects with glaze. But it's like, until you really inspect, especially certain pieces, then you can really kind of see that waxy surface on them. But it's just a really interesting technique, I think, to use the encaustic on the ceramic.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. All of the ones that are white and black, the landmark images, those are a combination. I fired smaller pieces. Those are about shapes in nature juxtaposed. So they're mostly blacks and whites. And I cut out shapes that represented what I saw. And some of the shapes I put glaze on, parts of it, and fired them. And then the parts that were still raw bisque-fired clay, I added wax to that. So those are a combination of clay, glaze, and wax. And I love that combo also.